Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Mullner here. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Tropical Edition. Great to have you here with me. It's crazy we're still talking about the tropics here into the middle part of November, but here we are. We're also going to be talking about some wintry conditions. We'll see exactly where those areas that could actually see snow or wintry precipitation over the next week or two. But here we go with the tropics, the southwestern Caribbean. We are looking at a system that could be initializing at least by the end of this week, potentially Thursday into Friday and next weekend. Could this actually affect Jamaica and parts of the Caribbean islands here? And which direction will it be headed? Well, it's all dependent on this trough along the U.S. East Coast, steering currents here into the Caribbean. We'll take a look at all the impacts along with your entire forecast here in this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Let's get into it. So we're starting off with the European model here, and then we'll progress in a couple moments here towards the GFS. You can see the European model starting to blow the storm up. You can see the 14th here on Tuesday. And as we get towards Wednesday into Thursday, 15th into the 16th here, you can see a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity. Let me just zoom out so I can give you a good vantage point here. There is South Florida. There is the coastline of Nicaragua, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, eastern tip of Cuba, and there's Haiti and Dominican Republic. So what's going on here is, and I will be talking about, your eyes are probably drawn up here towards the Gulf Coast as well. That's that Gulf Coast low pressure system, not likely to become tropical, but I will keep an eye on it here. It's going to promote some very beneficial rains here to the Gulf Coast. So as we get towards the 15th into the 16th, we start to see our low pressure start to initialize here into the Caribbean. You can see there is that area of low pressure. Here's Kingston, Jamaica, right up here towards the northeast. We got a massive blocking high across the U.S. East coastline here between Bermuda and North Carolina here. So watch what happens with the European model here. As we continue to go in time towards the 17th, lots of heavy rain resulting here in Jamaica. I'll have those rainfall amounts in a few minutes here onto this video loop, but you can see, look at this, November 17th at 1 p.m. There is that area of low pressure, likely a tropical storm by this point, or at least a tropical depression. As it approaches Jamaica with extremely heavy rainfalls here, you're going to see rainfall well over 100, 150 millimeters. I'll show you those maps momentarily here. But there it is, the center circulation on this latest European model showing the low going right over eastern Jamaica at this point towards the 17th at 10 p.m. So that is Friday night. That is the time frame here we're looking at. And then it begins to start to move more towards the northeast here as it gets stuck in the base of this trough here. You can see the retreating eye pressure here into the North Atlantic. There is our trough of low pressure here, a little area of low pressure as well. It's going to help draw this system up to the northeast. Previous European run had this system actually going a little further to the east, stalling, and then heading back westward. So that is a trend we'll also have to keep an eye on. This model run not necessarily doing that, showing a stronger East Coast trough and low pressure system strengthening, helping to draw the system more up towards the northeast here, heading over the eastern tip of Cuba, and then drawing a lot of moisture over here towards the island of Hispaniola, Haiti, and Dominican Republic. So very heavy rains as far east there as Puerto Rico as well. And as we continue to go out in time, yeah, the bullseye looks to start to be potentially Bermuda here by the 19th. So this storm getting caught up in the base of this trough, really energizing this trough as well as this really continues to strengthen. Now we'll have to watch southeast Canada, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland in particular here. So watch this. Let me just zoom out. You can see the two area of high pressures, the one retreating over towards the Azores in the North Atlantic, and here's the one over eastern North America building in to help to keep the system away from the U.S. East Coast from becoming anything subtropical or extratropical. But you can see by this point, you have a couple area low pressures here by the 19th. One of them is affecting Newfoundland here, so you might get affected a little bit by the energy from potentially, you know, whatever this storm becomes, likely a tropical storm, potentially even a hurricane. So as I just back that up here, it is potential this storm could go beyond tropical storm and eventually hurricane. Look at it energizing it here north of Newfoundland by the 20th. All right, so for the GFS here, this is how it's going to start out. You can see it here into the southwestern part of the Caribbean. And as we continue to go out here in time, you can see as we head on through the 13th, Monday, into the 14th, this gets a lot better organized here across the southwestern Caribbean. Essentially, here is Cuba, here's Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Central America here. So watch how this unfolds. GFS really intensifying the system. Let me just zoom out just a little bit so you can get a good vantage point of this system. And it really starts to come together the 15th and into the 16th. You start to see the area of low pressure initializing on the GFS, similar to the European model was, and then continuing to push towards Jamaica, the center circulation towards the 17th here. There's Kingston, Jamaica. You can see there is the center of circulation right just to the east here of Jamaica. So this is going to be a very interesting scenario play out here. Plenty of heavy rain. I'll be going over those rainfall amounts on both the major models, and you can see it pushes towards the island of Hispaniola, both Haiti and Dominican Republic, as we get towards the 17th into the 18th. And then it looks like on the GFS, it gets caught up at the tail end of this frontal boundary. So that trough that's been digging in across the eastern part of the United States really starts to lift the system off to the northeast towards Bermuda. Could this actually become a hurricane towards Bermuda? It is possible. We have plenty of time to watch it, though, for Bermuda towards November 20th. And you can see, is this going to affect parts of southeastern Canada? It looks like it takes it safely just to the southeast of Newfoundland here. So as we go out in time, you can see the GFS is showing a developing tropical system. And then there's another feature here into the western Gulf of Mexico as we head towards November 22nd. It looks a little more synoptic scale, but you still have to watch these persistent thunderstorms this time of year because the GFS is kind of showing something, trying to organize here, but not having too much of luck as it pushes towards the northeast here. So things are tropical tidbits for our dry air analysis here. Let's see what's any dry air that could affect our Caribbean system here in the Western Caribbean. As we go over the next couple of days, you see this takes us through about Wednesday, midweek. There's our low into the Western Gulf. Plenty of moisture there. I don't think this is going to become tropical, but here's our system here into the Southwestern Caribbean. This is going to be the interesting one. As we continue to go out here in time, this is where we're going to see the big surge of moisture. I don't see any dry air that could be affecting the system, at least in the medium term. So as we take a look at the Caribbean rainfall, here is our system here across the southwestern Caribbean, just blasting upward here. Eastern coast of Nicaragua, Honduras, really in excess of 100 millimeters of rain, maybe closer to 150. That's getting up towards 4 to 7 inches of rain. Look at, though, Jamaica, especially towards later Friday into Saturday. Eastern tip of Cuba, western Haiti there. Look at that. This area could see upwards of 150 to 200 millimeters of rain. That's getting up into the danger zone here. I know you need the rain in this region, but this is a lot of rain in a short period of time, and we could be looking at, some flash flooding and flooding going on. And one thing to note, that is, getting upwards 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 isolated amounts close to 12 inches here. So this is getting into the danger zone. So heading into the Eastern Caribbean here, look at this. So it's mostly dry. Trinidad and Tobago, you'll get some showers over the next couple days, maybe about 20, 40, 50 millimeters of rainfall, an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches. But there we go. The big story is what's happening with our system here into the Western and Central Caribbean. That pivots some moisture on the south shores here of Puerto Rico and also Dominican Republic here, upwards of 100 millimeters, close to 3 to 5 inches in some of these areas as we continue. So for the Western Pacific, we actually finally have a tropical depression. Tropical Depression 17, it's likely to become a tropical storm as we head the next couple days, especially towards the 16th and 17th later in the weekend. Watch this, the European model really grabbing onto this storm, heading it towards the northwest, and it's going to be a big rainmaker, if anything, here for the Philippines, but it does strengthen. It is possible this could become maybe a low-end typhoon, although you have to watch these systems because they can really blow up fast, even this time of year. Something we need to keep an eye on as we head towards the 19th. A tremendous heavy rain heading towards the central and northern Philippines. There is the last frame on this system. It does not move much. So if this system does take a turn more towards the Philippines, we're going to be looking at a prolonged period of heavy rain. And there is the westerlies up here. Plenty of storms bombing up here in the Aleutian Islands towards Alaska. So there you have it. That just back that up there. That is the biggest show in town. This system over here getting caught up in the westerlies. So for the HRRR model future radar, I want to show you areas of snowfall. There's the Pacific Northwest storm. Lots of mountain snow as we head through the morning hours, early morning hours of Monday, you can see. And then it washing out pretty quickly here across southwestern Canada. Now here across the Northeast, I'm showing you this because we do have some snow around the edges. It's likely to be well into eastern Ontario as we head throughout the early morning hours of Monday. And then snow breaking out here across parts of Quebec as well as we head throughout the day on Monday. So take a look at that. That's an area of snow that might actually dive south here as we head throughout the evening hours of Monday evening and Monday night. See that? Yeah. Could have a couple slushy inches here in some of the higher elevations of the Adirondacks, White Green Mountains, maybe as far south as the Berkshires here. Now look at here. We start to see evidence of a lake response here behind this frontal boundary. So we might start to see some lake effect snow showers or even rain mixing with snow and grauple pellets here. So the big story here, let's head into the southeast. So here is our big area of low pressure across South Texas. Look at this amount of precipitation, heavy rain as we head throughout Sunday night into Monday in particular. It's areas within like 150 miles of the coastline here. So you're going to look at some heavy rain on. I have those rainfall amounts. You know, I will show you exactly which areas are likely to get the heaviest rain here as we continue to go out in time. You can see most of the heaviest rain stays offshore. At least through Tuesday morning, but I caution you, some of this big slug of moisture, as this low heads towards the central Gulf, towards the middle part of the week, we might be getting some additional heavy rains across parts of coastal Texas here, Louisiana, and parts of the rest of the eastern Gulf Coast as we head throughout the week here. So here's the European model. I'll transition towards the GFS to show you where the areas of wintry precipitation are likely to be. But as we go over the next week here, you're going to see that high pressure is going to dominate here. You can see off the U.S. East Coast, with the exception for this low here across the Gulf Coast states. That's where you're going to see a lot of the heavy rain. Beneficial rains. You really do need the rain across the southeast. You will be waiting for this next storm. This is almost looking like that El Nino pattern that I did mention on my winter outlook, which isn't a link in the description down below. If you haven't watched it already, I'll watch it. It's also at a link at the end of this video. So as we continue to go in time here, take a look at this. Yeah, this is high pressure continuing across the eastern part of North America. Storminess here out west, particularly for western Canada here, and then another low over towards Hudson Bay. But as you can see, there is a little system that does move through the 17th, spreading some showers here from the Ohio Valley. Here it is. If we continue here, let's just back up. There it is. It's a very quick moving system. You almost miss it. Here it is, the 17th at 1 p.m. Bringing showers through Cleveland, Columbus, up towards Buffalo. This is about the only fanfare this week, and then kind of washing out as it head to the east here Saturday morning. So high pressure is building in for next weekend. There's our next system that I'm going to show you on the GFS momentarily, because this is potentially maybe going to bring some wintry precipitation up here into parts of the northern U.S. It's going to be the far north, though, into southeast Canada and Ontario and Quebec especially. And look at that area of low pressure. There's that last frame. Ooh, that's a big storm winding up here towards the Pacific Northwest towards the 20th. Yeah, Thanksgiving week is going to get very stormy across North America, so stay tuned. Very big travel plans for many people. This low continuing towards the northeast, as I said, we may be looking at an area of snowfall. So if we're taking a look at the GFS model here, we can get a good idea of what the precipitation is going to be like. You can see across most of Canada, we are holding with the potential here for snowfall. And that's looking pretty interesting from Western Canada here on Monday the 13th, also across parts of Ontario and Quebec here, as we get a small system moving across most of the Great Lakes here into the northeast. It should be in the form of rain showers that will be scattered about, maybe some snow showers here as we get overnight into early morning hours of Tuesday morning. You can see that kind of spinning out here. And then a bigger storm up towards Hudson Bay here. Some mountain snow out here towards southwestern Canada as well. As we go out in time, you can see this smattering of snow here across the northern plains into central Canada. It's a very fast-moving system. It does start to gain moisture here by the 17th, but it's mostly rain across the U.S. here. The snow, you have to go way up here into parts of northern Ontario and Quebec to get into any sorts of snowfall here, and that looks like a pretty impressive system here on the GFS by the 17th, pushing rain showers through the northeast. You see a little, almost like a clipper type system behind it. Our next system that's going to be entering from the California and Four Corners region, that starts to get wound up, but this model run showing much further to the north, less snowfall. Initially, precipitation onset around the 21st is showing up as snow here across parts of the northeast, but that quickly changes over to rain with wraparound snow behind it. So we could have a lake effect snow outbreak behind the system if things play out just right, just the day before Thanksgiving, which is a big travel day. So that could become a problem here across the northeast. And we continue to get wraparound moisture here, bringing snowfall. And the next system behind it, you can see towards the 24th, the day right after Thanksgiving here, we start to get enough moisture and cold air that we could be looking at potentially, I caution you, this is 306 hours out, so things can really change, but it's interesting that we may have accumulating snow the day or two after Thanksgiving here across parts of the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and into the Northeast. Look at that spreading on into Saturday, the 25th here across much of the Northeast. So things could get pretty interesting here. Maybe some early wet snowflakes moving across the region with some accumulation possible. So as we take a look at total liquid equivalent precipitation here, you can see across southeast Texas, the coastline over to Louisiana. This is some really beneficial rain for you. This is that low pressure into the western Gulf that's going to pivot all week across the Gulf Coast region. This is going to bring some very much needed rain. I know it's a lot of rain, 4 to as much as 6, maybe 7 inches of rain, and even parts of South Florida get on this. So that's going to be interesting. Look at the west coast out here too. That's where you're going to be looking at a lot of rainfall and then mountain snow kicking in with that system later on next weekend. You can see most of that falling. There's a small system that forms midweek there, and then another system that pushes in later in the week here. And then across the east, this is all going to be forming closer to, you can see there's next weekend, another push, and then another system that moves in Tuesday, November 21st. So things getting really active here across parts of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast just in time for Thanksgiving week. So zooming in here on the Gulf of Mexico coastal areas, look at this. This is a lot of rainfall to be had here. You do need it, though. So going in throughout the rest of this week, we are going to be looking at a solid 2 to 4 inches with locally higher amounts here, upwards of 6-7 inches with that area of low pressure spinning across the Gulf. This looks like a precursor to our El Nino pattern for this winter. And here we go, Jim, from the southern New England area here. Take a look at this. This is clouds moving in 2 different directions. You can see it looks like the upper layers here are moving this direction, and you can see in the lower levels here, they're moving this direction. This is a really interesting capture. This happens a lot of times when you have frontal boundaries in or around the region, like a warm front or a cold front. And of course, the upper layers are experiencing a rush of a high pressure system coming in at upper levels. And this actually redirects the flow. It can also occur during severe weather events. This was not a severe weather event, but when you get the veering of the winds with height, so you actually get that chance of rotating thunderstorms. So there's a lot of explanations for this. I wanted to let you know, Jim, I am going to be working on your phenomenon for last month that happened along the coast of those showers just popped up and sat over one area. I'd like to get, a series of videos going eventually here that will cover strange weather phenomena. Nice captures here, Jim. And don't go anywhere. I have plenty more weather in just a moment, but check out my affiliate here. Here are some awesome maps.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than trilogymaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
So from the Ohio Valley into the Northeast, it's a really quiet week. Later Monday night, Tuesday, you do get some showers and even some wet snowflakes mixed in across upstate New York, parts of New England, but that's not going to be much. Friday, we get a next system move in with rain showers across parts of the Ohio Valley into the Northeast, maybe a quarter to a third of an inch likely. And then we see some enhancement southeast of Lake Ontario behind that system. A bigger system moves in just in time for the day before Thanksgiving. Now, some of this on the northern and eastern fringes may actually be some wet snowflakes mixing in, but for the most part, I think the warm air will win out for the most part. Stay tuned though, because a couple runs ago it was interesting because it showed wintry precipitation instead. This is averaging out to about an inch to an inch and a quarter. And taking a look at snowfall accumulations here, our latest European run showing just a little bit of snow around the edges as we head through this week. The Mountain West, early Thanksgiving week, that's when we see a lot of the mountain snow kicking in out here. Look at this snow potentially in the feet, even in parts of western Colorado. Lots and lots of snow here into the northern plains as well. And then here into parts of Ontario, Quebec, into the northern New England, we'll see a couple inches likely this week. So here's our temperature outlook. It is actually really mild here. It's unseasonably warm. Look at these 50s and even 60s here across much of the east, even parts of the Ohio Valley as we get into Monday there, into the near 60 degrees. We're holding on to some cooler air across northern New England, lower to mid-40s. That's seasonable for this time of year. Look at these 50s across the Ohio Valley, plenty of 60s across the plains here. The warm spot here is South Texas and Florida, where you're getting into the 70s. Some areas of South Florida into the lower 80s. As we get into Wednesday here, look at this. This is actually really nice weather. It could be much colder this time of year. Upper 50s to around 60 across much of the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. And as we get into your Thursday here, look at this. This is actually not bad at all. Look at that. 60 degrees in most of these locations, upper 50s. 70s here across Texas and Florida. Cold spot here out west, especially the Pacific Northwest, as we get that troughiness and that next system moving in. You can see here across much of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, we stay into the upper 50s as we head towards Friday. And how about next Saturday here, November 18th? This is where we start to see the leading edge of that colder air. So this could be that pattern change that we've been looking for. Upper 40s and then near 50 across much of the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Take a look at this Monday. We have a chance of showers, especially after 4 p.m. But, we're heading up towards 50 degrees. Not too bad. Chance of rain and snow showers Monday night, early Tuesday morning. Not expecting any accumulation. It's a very light system. A little cooler behind it Tuesday into Wednesday. A big warming trend Wednesday and Thursday, mostly sunny skies. And then as we get towards Friday, clouds increasing as we get into the upper 50s before we start to slide down in temperatures and a much stormier week for Thanksgiving week next week.
As always, thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Take a look at my Facebook page at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern to follow the tropics. And if you want to hop over to my Twitter page, it's at Weather Eastern. It's MeteoMark.com. Thanks for joining me. Question or comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification button so you're alerted when a video comes out.